Peace and power, family. Peace and supreme healing. Thank y'all all for tuning in. If you are here right now, this is where you're supposed to be. We are going to get right into it. But before we get into it, I'm going to need y'all to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that more people can be aware of the science and the power of iridology, so that we know that we can heal ourselves from any challenge, chronic diseases, way before it manifests, well before that we're sitting in a doctor's office and them telling us that we have some debilitating disease. All right. So I want you to know, for you watching, that you don't have to look forward to chronic ailments. You don't have to look forward to all of these challenges that we've been conditioned to look forward to. All right, we're automatically conditioned to look forward to high blood pressure and kidney disease and cholesterol, all of the challenges that our ancestors and people in our family went through. And that's what the title of this video is about: the truth about bloodline diseases, DNA trauma codes, in its relation to the iris. So you do not want to sleep on this. You want to take notes. Hey, want to get your notebook out, get it right now while you can, so that you can take notes on how you can save yourself and your family from suffering. And you don't have to suffer from the same kind of ailments that a family member before you has suffered from, if you listen to these steps and if you listen to the science of iridology and its correlation to that. All right. So again, before we get into it, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because I want this to flow, y'all. We getting the YouTubes out. All right. I told y'all I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna be on y'all with this information, because it's so crucial for y'all to know this science that's been hidden from us for so long, family. For so long, the science has been hidden from us. So I'm so grateful to be here in this present moment, to be grateful to have this gift that I have been blessed with, to share with you the science of iridology, the iris, and what I call the iris. The eyes, they're more than just what you can see. You're seeing me, you're seeing my screen. It's more than what you can see in the physical realm. These are many cosmic cameras that are snapping every detail of your organs, your glands, your systems, your lymph, your blood. Everything that goes on in the human body, your iris automatically has an imprint of. And what's so amazing, family, is that as soon as the disease begins to form in the body, it automatically leaves an imprint on the iris. So you don't have to wait 20 years to get a diagnosis of some ailment, which really ailments describe the symptoms. It doesn't describe the root. You don't have to wait all of this time to get a note from your doctor stating that you have this or you have that. You can know right now and see what the biggest challenge that we have within our community is that we wait for symptoms to arise to begin to solve the problem. And that is when, I won't say it's too late, but by that time, the disease, the inflammation has already run its course to the point where now the pain is so present, is so prevalent, because it needs to get your attention, but the symptoms have been there all along the way. So, for example, when someone gets the flu, no one gets the flu overnight. It first starts off with a cold, or what we call the cold. We call these illnesses and we name it after the weather, right? I mean, come on, we really have to think about this now. So we call it a cold, right? We get this little runny nose, we get little sneezes, we get all of these different symptoms of what we call or know as a cold. But then we hurry up and we, suppress the symptoms with Mucinex. We go to our local Rite Aid, our local CVS, our local drugstore. Hey, give me something. I got to work. I got to function. I got to handle life. I don't want to go through this cold. So let me fast forward through all of this. So you start suppressing the symptoms with all these drug medications, which also shows up in the iris. So then it goes away, but you think you're healed, but really you're not, because now you just pushed it to the side. It's like you have this thing knocking at your door, but you're not answering that door, even though it's like it knocked once, like, whoop, and you're like, I ain't gotta answer that. But then the second time it knocks, boop, boop, boop. That's the flu. And so now the flu is a little bit more aggressive than a cold. It really knocks you out. You have a fever, you're lethargic, you have aching joints, muscles sometimes, depending on how severe the flu is. But still, yet again, you suppress the symptoms with more drug medication, especially if you get treated in a hospital. And so you may be down for what? Maybe a week. And then you're right back up and doing all of the things that caused the cold and the flu in the first place, which is overloading on dairy, overloading on specific foods that lower the immune defense system. And not to mention, if you have challenges with fear, anxiety, depression, or what they term these terms as anxiety and depression, that also takes a hit on your internal system. Okay, your internal fluids, your fluid systems, which is your circulatory, your lungs, and your lymphatic. Okay, so now you had the cold and the flu within what, let's say an 8-month or a 6-month span. So now you haven't really taken care of these things because it's suppressed. You've been suppressing it through drug medications. You've been suppressing it by just keep on going. You're not really resting. You're not really relaxing. And this is for people who work so much. Those who work 7 days, sometimes 12-hour shifts. You're not getting enough rest. So that's why you are more likely to suppress symptoms, because, hey, you got that mindset that you have to go to work. You can't miss a day. But then now the knock gets louder. It's like boom, 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 boom. The pneumonia. Now it's at its most aggressive stage, where you have this chronic buildup of mucus that was supposed to leave the body, but you suppressed it. You see, when we think that we don't get sick, or, oh, people will say, I never get sick. I may get something once a year, but I really never get sick. But you know that you're eating specific foods, you're leading a certain lifestyle that doesn't really correlate to you expressing any kind of illnesses, so that you're getting whatever you're putting in out. So what I say to those who say they never get sick, but they lead a specific lifestyle, that they're constantly bombarding the system with all of these toxins, those are the ones we should pay attention to, because those are the ones when they say, oh, Bob was here today and he wasn't tomorrow. And actually, I used to work with someone named Bob, that, I mean, he was never got sick, really, never got sick. And one day he was just coughing a lot, just coughing. And he used to drink Pepsis a lot. I do remember that. He used to smoke cigarettes, but he just kept coughing. I'm like, you're okay? And I was, in my early 20s. And he would say, yeah, I'm fine. It's just some cold. And next thing I know, Bob wasn't here anymore. May Bob rest in peace, but he was not here. And it was just like that. And they said he had cancer. And it was like, this wasn't detected before. It was like, as soon as he was diagnosed, he was out of here. So those are what we have to pay attention to, family. Okay. It's not that it's sometimes it's not a good thing that you're not expressing mucus, because if what goes in has to come out. So mucus, again, as I said in my last video, mucus is not your enemy. It is a way to cleanse the body. As the mucus is coming out, toxins are coming along with it, especially when you are defecating. If you have mucousy stool, okay, that's all of that, because the mucus lines the intestinal tract. Okay, so when you're excreting waste, as you're moving the bowels, it's taking all of that with it. through with the mucus. So family, it is important, it is vital that you pay attention to the signs. Okay, you pay attention to your family. All right, it's so important, because when you look at your family, you look what they're going, you look at what they're going through, you look at the challenges that they have. Okay, you begin to see and realize that, okay, if grandma had this going on, or father had this going on, potentially this is something that I can deal with. If you really watch your family members, they have high blood pressure, they may have cholesterol issues, they may be in and out of the hospital constantly, challenges with strokes, challenges with heart disease. You ask yourself, do you really want to lead that lifestyle? And what's so interesting, last year I went and visited my family roots in Waycross, Georgia. And my great grandmother, who owned a home there, she had her own pecan tree, she garden, and all of these different things that she's done, and that she did. She had diabetes, and so they wanted to amputate her legs, and she told them, "No, I'm going to die here with these here legs on me. Okay, ain't nobody taking my legs. I'm going to die here with these legs on me." And so she went in her garden, she dug up the dandelion root and a few other roots, but she took the sap, she extracted the sap from the dandelion, boiled it down, made a cream, and also drank it as a tea, rubbed it on her legs every day. She used a lot of other herbs. I know dandelion was the main, nettle was another, and she healed that leg. She healed that leg, and she left here with that leg at 77 years young. So, and then what I bring that up to say is that my great grandmother had diabetes, and she lost her sight in one of her eyes. I'm not sure which eye it was. One of her eyes, she had no sight. And so this was knowledge in my family already. I learned of that last year. See, it's important. That's why I go on expeditions, family, for my family, because I want to know. I want to know all the history. I had another cousin on my mother's side that had diabetes. He lost his sight, and he ended up passing away at, I believe, 33 years young. So diabetes on my mother's side it runs deep. Okay, that's the pancreas. Okay, so diabetes just means I pee a lot. That's the etymology of the word, but we're looking and focusing in on the weakness of the pancreas. So there is an inherent weakness of the pancreas on my side of the family. So it was a cousin on my mother's side, my grandmother, my great grandmother on my mother's side, and so she lost her sight. And my uncle, I have an uncle, which is my mom's brother. He ended up being diagnosed with diabetes and ended up losing his sight, on both eyes. So I asked, I said, did anyone know this? So, it's so important to know these things ahead of time, and not just know, but take action. Don't ever think that this can not happen to you if you lead the same lifestyle. Practice healthy habits now, family. No one's saying that you have to go full on plant-based, full on vegan. For me, I choose that lifestyle. I know how I respond to meat. It doesn't work well for me. But if you do eat meat, you want to take breaks. You want to do it in interviews. You don't want to do it every day. You want to do it maybe once a week. Have times where you're not eating meat for a long period of time, especially if you're, constantly cooking food. You want to have times where you're not eating so much cooked food. And that's something I want to ask you. How long can you go without eating cooked food? That's something that you should ask yourself and find out. How long can you go? Stop the cooked food for a moment and see how your body reacts. Because there's a book by Dr. Suzar. That title of the book is drugs masquerading as foods. And she talked about as cooked food being an addiction. Even there's another book, the raw food diet, the first law of nature, and they talk about cooked food is poison, because once you cook the food, you destroy the live molecular structure of that food, of that kale, of that onion, whatever it is that you're eating. So if you cook it too much, of course, all of that food, it's what is it really feeding you into the body? What is it actually transforming as energy for the cell to utilize? So I want you to ask yourself, family, how long can you go without eating cooked foods? Okay, so I say all that to say, just running down the family history, because that's what the title of this is, the truth about bloodline diseases, DNA trauma codes, and its relation to the iris. So I studied my family. I'm still studying my family. I haven't seen everyone in my family, but I've seen a lot to know my inherent weaknesses and what I need to do to strengthen my internal organs and specific organs and specifically. Okay, so that's so important. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, y'all. Y'all ready? Come on now. If y'all ready, let's go. Let's do this. All right. We back with another one. We back with another one. All right, let's do this. All right. Let's do this. I want to make sure that I have. Oh, there it is. Okay, family. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. All right. The truth about bloodline diseases, DNA trauma codes, and its relation to the iris. So important that you tune into this whole show. So I'm not going to be too long. I promise I'm not going to be too long. I'm going to try to keep it. Let's see what time it is right now. It's late, y'all. It's really late, family. But I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes. But y'all, even if so, listen, that's what YouTube's for. That's why I'm doing these YouTube videos, because I want you to have that these teachings so that you can bring this with you and into your family as well. All right. So what I mean by in its relation to the iris, before you conceive a child and before you even think about having children, see, before there was a period of time where we actually prepared and cultivated the energy to bring new life into this plane. But now we don't have the same kind of thinking. We don't have the same kind of precious care for life any longer. We meet someone, we think they're cute, we think they look good, we get into bed, and bada boom, bada bing, we have a child. We don't know nothing about that person. We don't know nothing about their family health history. We don't know nothing about whether they took the time to heal or not, and whether you took the time to heal or not, or in your part. So when you do not take the time to heal from emotional DNA trauma codes that has been passed down from family member to family member, you don't take the time to heal yourself, regenerate your kidneys, regenerate your ovaries, regenerate your prostate, you literally birth the replicate of that into that fetus. That's what DNA is. It's a replication, a genetic replication. So you're literally birthing yourself, parts of yourself. Not saying that that child will be all of you. It'll be the same you, but it is part of you. So at least for a minimum of 6 months before conception, mother and father should be on a supreme lifestyle. I'm talking fruit cleanses, fruit diet, making sure that there's not a lot of oil and fats in the system, making sure you're getting your proper omegas and all of your raw food nutrition. All right, you definitely want to check out my Juice Plus, because that's what we use it for. Shout out to one of my teachers, Dr. Baba Field Valentine, who first spoke on this. He first spoke on teaching parents how to conceive a child or the proper way, the supreme way to conceive a child. And before you do so, on raw food nutrition. All right. Because literally you're replicating yourself. Mother is replicating herself. Father's replicating herself. And not just with physical ailments of the organs and the glands, but also the emotions and the mental state. Notice when someone has a mental challenge, bipolar or anything like that, the child ends up having some kind of mental issue as well. I had a person that came to me, one of my clients, who had a challenge with she had a mental disorder. I won't name it, but she had a mental disorder. And looking at the family history, her mother had bipolar as well. So carrying that child, she already carried that child in that frequency. And so now, when birthing that child, she ended up having a severe case of a mental disorder. And so a lot of that you can really help and heal yourselves with different tools like past life regression, different coaches that do that. You want to go to a really good one. I don't know one offhand, but some of that hypnosis may help as well. But going back to the point, family, that she literally replicated that into her child, into her daughter. And so now she has those same challenges, even when it comes to those who take their own life. You want to be careful and watch the children that come from that person that has done that, because they're going to have those same mental challenges as well, where they feel pressure easily. So again, reiterate and to be redundant, if you do not heal before you bring new life onto this plane, that child will have the potential to have the same issues, to have the same physical ailments, physical diseases, mental and emotional challenges, spiritual detachments. So it's important to heal beforehand. Okay. And even if you didn't, be aware, acknowledge that you did not, and begin to heal while you're raising up your child. That's what I do. That's what I'm doing. Not that's what I did. That's what I'm doing. All right. I have an 8-year-old beautiful baby girl, well, not a baby girl, pardon me, 8-year-old beautiful daughter, who, when I brought her into this plane, I was just like everyone else. Didn't really think about life in this respect. Had a child with a man and that I loved at the time. And hey, everything's great. But I didn't know any of his family health history. I didn't know his emotional and mental patterns. I didn't know any of that. So I'm learning all of that now. And so now that I'm learning all of that, I know how to counteract, and because I'm healing, still healing. It's not done. It's never done. Healing is lifelong. All right. So we're going to get into it. The truth about bloodline diseases, DNA trauma codes, and its relation to the Iris family. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you like it, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are tapping in right now at this time. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, so before we get into it, what I want to say is this. When I'm looking at the iris, there are 4 stages of tissue activity. 4 stages of tissue activity. This is your acute stage, where you see it's more white. So when it's more white, that means that the ailment is active at that moment, or it's becoming more active, where you'll have symptoms. It'll be not so aggressive, but it will seem that way in the beginning. And this is the point where people begin to suppress it. Okay, so this is the point. You see how the fibers are very tight in the iris, like a tightly woven net. That's what I refer it to. So this is more so dis-ease in its beginning stages. Then you have the subacute, with it past that stage. This is most likely where symptoms are suppressed, ignored. Okay, And then when you look at specific lines is where you can see inherent challenges. But again, I wanted to show you this so that you can see the different structures of the iris and what it means, so that when I show iris photos, you know exactly what you're looking at. And even when you have your own iridology done by me, that you know this is what I mean in my language: acute, subacute, I would cut off in the bottom. This is chronic, and this is degenerative. Okay, this is the chronic iris. You see how the areas are more open. The fibers are separating. Okay, so then that means that when they begin to separate, they begin to form these open hole-like areas. The disease has been there for some time. And again, if you check up, okay, if you check here, I want to find a specific line that shows an inherent weakness. It will show like a squiggly line, which those show inherent weaknesses of the iris. This is the right iris, so this is an inherent weakness of the digestive system, the esophagus. Okay, so certain, it's not just looking at the iris and all this line is in this region. It's about also the shape and the size and how it separates to let me know what stage you're in, how long it's been there, and whether it was a potential from the beginning when you came onto this plane. And to make it clear, everyone is born with inherent weaknesses. Everyone is born with inherent weaknesses. I've seen irises as young as 3 months old, where I literally read the baby's whole iris. I wish I could find it. If I could find it, I may share it. I read the baby's whole iris to the T, how the baby had potential to develop tonsillitis. They'll have lymphatic issues, extreme cases of acidosis if they lead a specific lifestyle. This is a 3-month-old baby, fresh to the world. So yes, everyone is born with inherent weaknesses, but that does not mean that you become a victim to those inherent weaknesses. You can reprogram your DNA at will. You can command your DNA to be reprogrammed, command the cells to do what you want it to do, by what you eat, by what you speak, your thoughts, because your thoughts are things. Your thoughts are living things. So whatever you think as well, that's where your emotional and the mental health comes in. When I'm looking in the iris, that affects your reality. It affects your internal organ flow. Each vibration or each organ has its own vibration to play. And when you do not tend to that frequency in the way that it needs to, the way it needs to be fed, then you're not commanding it. Well, technically you are, because you're commanding it with past thoughts of pain, trauma, hurt, and then those same past thoughts of pain, trauma, hurt, you feed it on the outside with the foods that you think you love, but you really don't love, because you're attracted to it, because at the moment, that's where your emotional state and pattern is. We think we love these foods. We think we love steak. We think we love all of this greasy fried, all of this chips and all of it. We don't love these things. You love it because it's been introduced to you. And every time you have an emotional signature attached to it, that's what you crave at the moment. Family. Woo! Come on now, I'm on fire. I told you, I'm on fire tonight. I'm on fire tonight because I know I've been there, family. I've been there. Man, I used to have 5 cookies. I used to have cookies lined up by my bedside every single night. I had to have something sweet every single night. And this is even after becoming a vegan. And I kept saying, this is not right. I know this is not right. And when I realized what it was correlated to me not loving myself, me holding on to past relationship traumas that I went to with exes, me not moving forward and healing from not being raised with my father and not being reassured by a male figure in my life. And so I kept attracting the same kind of man in my life, which the hurt kept on happening over and over again, leading to me not loving myself, and loving the attraction of the trauma. And so when I started to do work on my heart chakra, when I started to give love to my pancreas, because again, when you have challenges with sugar, you have challenges with the pancreas. And didn't I say earlier that I already had an inherent weakness on my mother's side when it comes to the pancreas? So when I started giving love to my pancreas by taking herbs like gurmar is a powerful herb for regenerating the pancreas and getting rid of sugar cravings. So when you take gurmar, Gurmar, when you take this gurmar, literally, you shut off and shut down the sugar receptors on the tongue. And when you try to eat something sweet, you can't even eat it because it's going to taste horrible. You start to retrain the nerves that call for the sugar, which is the vagus nerve. You start to retrain all of that. So it's important when you're in that moment, you're craving these certain foods, you think you love it, you think you love these things, you don't. It's based upon where your vibration is at the moment. And that's what I do with my detox for iridology level 1 and level 2, and I'm working on a level 3. Because now you had your iridology done, but we have to go deep into the spiritual and metaphysical aspect of your health and help you to get out of that hole so you do never have to climb back in it again. So these are the 4 stages of tissue activity, and each iris is telling a different vibration from the next. This is the beginning. This is the second. This is the second stage. You suppress the symptoms, and this is where this is 20 years in, at least 20 years in. And this is when we call it degenerative. It doesn't mean that someone is near end life, but do you see how dark and black it is? So someone asked me, can you see end life or near death in the iris? When it's a lot of black, all of this is totally black, we can conclude that the person can be near death, or what is called near death, or death, death is an illusion. But there's always hope. As long as you have life, there's hope. But the person has to want healing. The person has to put their mind towards healing in order to get out of that degenerative state. Very important. Very important. All right, so I'm going to go to the next slide. All right, so we're going to hop right into it. This is my daughter's iris right here. This is my daughter's iris. She's 8 years old. And I take pictures of her iris, I would say every 4 months or so. It's important because I want to make sure that everything is working the way it should, that whatever I need to strengthen her little organs and her stomach, then I need to do that, okay? So what you see here is me pointing to inherent weaknesses in her iris. Notice you see that it's white already, so it is becoming active. Now, now I know you're wondering, how can a uterine challenge be active in an 8-year-old? Well, some uterine challenges can present itself as challenges with discharge. Those are one of the first symptoms of uterine weakness. So I'm very careful and I pay attention to that. I educate my daughter on her vaginal health. I educate her on the importance of taking care of her sacred organ, making sure that you're not eating breads that will accumulate, especially yeast. Eating all of that can accumulate into the body, and it has to come out, and it'll excrete through one of the portals, which is, give me 1 second. I don't know why. Oh, it says resume. Okay. Which is, the vaginal canal. It'll need a canal to come out. And so very, very, informative, or put that into my daughter, when we talk about her health. And even, in homeschool this year, we're going to have a nutrition class, and I'm going to show her all of this so that she knows. You think your child doesn't know, you think your child not listening, but I can recall a lot that my mother taught me at 7, 8 years old, and I still bring it with me today. So never think that your children's not listening, and never think that they're not it's not really doing anything for them because they're only this age. No, they store it, they hear you, and they're going to use it later on. All right. So this is there we go. Okay, this is a potential uterine vaginal weakness in my daughter's iris. Okay, and that comes from mother's side. My mother had uterine challenges. May she rest in perfect peace. And she's the one that put me on to this knowledge, put me on to this track. She went to iridologist. She took me and my twin brother to an iridologist when I was 2 years old. So she was already told that she had uterine challenges from an iridologist when she was about my age, about 25. Now let me stop. I'm 30, but around 30, 29, she was already told that she had uterine challenges. So it shows in my iris, and it also shows in my daughter's iris. So I'm very careful and making sure that we eat a lot of berries, raspberry tea. I give my daughter raspberry tea, raspberry leaf tea. I give her my goddess blend, not too much, half the dosage that I would give to myself. Also, it shows that she has an inherent left kidney challenge, okay, or potential inherent left kidney. All right. So making sure that she has cherries. She loves cherries. She eats a lot of cherries. I'll give a little celery juice every now and again with some green apple, lemon, or lime, cucumber. She loves that. All right. And even if she don't, she's going to stand right in that kitchen and make sure she drink it all. That's how my mama did me. Every time we had to take like wheatgrass, we used to drink wheatgrass back in the day. And so we had to stand in that kitchen and finish it all before we can leave. So, hey, if you got to do that with your children, you got to do what you got to do. And you just look at them and say, this is going to benefit you later. You may not know it now, but you're going to thank me later. All right. So this is just showing you the relation to bloodline diseases in the iris. Okay. It shows in the iris as young. I think I took this picture of my daughter's iris when she was 6. I have new photos, but this I think is about 6, 7 years old. Or maybe no, this may be a recent one, but yeah. But I've been taking pictures of my daughter's iris since she was about 4 or 5. So it's important to get your children seen as well so that you can see and know how to take care of them. So you can know how to feed them and feed more of what minerals that they need. So important. So important. And also the vibration of the uterus on a metaphysical level. Any challenges with the uterus or in the reproductive organs, male or female, but we're focusing on a female, deals with pain suppressed from usually the opposite sex, but being hurt in life. And so when you're hurt and you don't understand that hurt and you hold on to it, you think that it's doing you justice, you think you're hurting the other person because you still remember, and then you think you got over it sometimes, but something automatically reminds you of it and it comes back up. So when you are hurt and you're holding on to it, you suppress it, and it suppresses into the weakest organs of your body, and it could be your ovaries, it could be your kidneys, it can be your liver, it could be your uterus. Okay, and so later on, this is how what they call cancer develops, because cancer is nothing more than a severe case of suppression that has formed into acid and yeast. That's all that is. And so when we're dealing with someone who's been diagnosed with what is called cancer, you have to tread carefully, because that person, it's like touching a hot stove. They're hot. Even though they have this demeanor that they're okay, but as soon as you try to touch on something, it's like boom, they got their guard up. So you have to approach that situation where you're coming into the door ready to listen, ready to help them to heal, not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual level as well. So that's the importance of having my Detox with Iridology level 1 and level 2 program that I partner with spiritual counsel, world renowned Zen Baby. We work together to do that and to help you restore your health on a holistic level. Okay. So every organ carries its own vibration, and you have to listen to it. You have to tune into it. You have to tune into its frequency and hear what it's saying. Hear what's going on in that mind where you have suppressed for so long, and be careful so that it doesn't manifest as a physical ailment later on in life. All right. So just wanted to show you guys that. I'm going to go to the next one. All right. This was an interesting one for me. Okay. This was very interesting for me. I'm going to put this light down a little bit. Okay. All right. So, I had the mother come to me first. She came to me first. She had severe lung issues, challenges with collapsing of the lungs, asthma as a child, and it just kind of just escalated and gotten into a chronic degenerative state from there. So, she had her iris, her iridology done. And notice where the lungs is, because this is where the lungs are in the iris. Notice that ring right on the lungs. So we call that the sodium, also the lymphatic ring, cholesterol ring, lipid diathesis ring, which means that there's a lot of fats and lipids in the system, in the blood, but it's showing up more on the lung area. So that's where most of the energy is stagnated. Okay. So there's another iris photo, but it shows more deeper as I get closer. I can't really like come up on it. Oh, there I can. Yes, I can. Okay. So if you can see it, it's like an open, what we call like a teardrop or open lacuna. If I dive a little deeper into it, but based upon the quality of this photo, you're really not able to see it. But if you can see even this one here, you see that? Hold on a second, right here. Okay, you can see it more so when I zoom in. Okay, I'm gonna zoom that out. Okay. All right, so you can see it. I just wanted to show that to you. All right, and then here, you see how the mother and the daughter has the same exact brown marking in the same area. You see how the mother's is darker because it's more chronic and advanced. And you see how the daughter's is beginning to become darker, even though it's brown, but it's starting to become dark in that same area. So it shows that the daughter has an inherent weakness of lung tissue degeneration as well, acid accumulation in the lungs as well. Family, the eyes don't lie. Yo, the eyes don't lie. And so you can, when you have your iridology done, you can be able to see what potential challenges that you may be or may experience in your lifetime, no matter what age you are. You could be 20s, teens, 30s, especially those in the 30s, because that's the time where disease is heavily developing. People then are complaining about, that's around the time people have these bladder infections, UTIs, kidney infections. They're in the hospital at that time. Some people have even more chronic issues as they enter their 30s. You're supposed to enter the 30s gracefully. And so by the time you get into your 40s, I mean, some people could barely go up a flight of stairs. So it's important to remain and keep that vitality, and to remain and keep that vitality. We do that through your cosmic cameras, which is your iris, iridology. Come on, y'all. We gotta get with it. All right. So this here, what I told the daughter here is that it was an active lung challenge, but she needs to focus on her lungs, making sure that she's doing deep breathing exercises. She's refraining from dairy. She's already plant-based, so that was excellent already. That she's taking herbs like mullein and lungwort and eucalyptus and coltsfoot and wild cherry bark, elderberry, elderflower, linden flower, all of these different herbs and flowers that she needs to maintain her vitality of the lung tissue. And for the mother, I had her on a really extensive program on because at that point it was at the chronic degenerative point, so it takes longer to get out of that stage. And so she had to go on a more deeper, extensive, longer program for her. All right. So this is important to not only have your iridology done, but have your children's iridology done as well. All right. Let's go to the next one, because I told you I'm not going to be so long. All right. Now this iris here. All right. As you can see here, you see the ovary marking in the right iris female. You see how it's like curved again? That shows the inherent weakness. So someone on more so father's side, okay, also on the mother's side, but more so father's side, whether it was a grandmother, an aunt, had some ovarian issues on that side of the family. And it's actually extending from the bowel, where she has a constipated bowel, and that is what's causing the ovarian challenges. All right. So really, when you look at the body anatomically, the colon sits right atop and above your lower organs, your reproductive organs, both male and female. So when you have a constipated colon, you're not going correctly, you're not moving your bowels correctly. You may have a bowel movement every other day or every other 2 days. That takes a huge effect on your ovaries, because all of that, the valve that is connected to the large intestine into the lower extremities, it begins to seep and leak into the reproductive organs. So you want to, when you go into cleanse and heal the reproductive organs, always focus in on the colon as well. All right. So again, this is no guessing. This is real science that help you to track your bloodline diseases and also trauma codes that's been embedded in you from the time that you came onto this plane we call Earth. Okay. Sometimes we're holding on to challenges that it wasn't necessarily ours. We can be experiencing emotional challenges that our parents went through, that our mother went through, that our father went through. That if they haven't moved that energy and they left and exited this plane, now it's on you to do so. It's going to be your responsibility to do so. And then now when it's on you, you have to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, because now it doesn't fall on your daughter or your son. Have you ever seen a family where everyone is just going through the same thing? The mother, the daughter, the granddaughter, everyone is just going through the same kind of emotional, mental patterns, because it's been embedded so long and no one notices it. They're like, oh, we're all the same. Oh, you get that from me, girl. We're so nonchalant about it. And so we don't look at it on a subconscious level, that this has been embedded based upon what's going on in the bloodline and all that we went through in history. We don't know what our great grandparents have went through during that time where they existed. So now we have to do our part in moving that energy right along, not pushing it to the back burner, but making sure that we understand it with love, give it energy, and say, hey, I know you're there. I know you're there. But the past is the past. See, when something happens in the past, family, it really no longer exists. It doesn't exist. Because remember, you can't go back to that. See, if you can go back to something like, look, that I drunk that juice, but I can go back and get me some more. But can you go back to September 5th? Can you go back to September 4th? You can't go back. It happened already. So if you can't go back and fix it, then that moment in time, not saying that your pain, what you're feeling is not real, but you're making it more real every time you relive it, every time you hold on to it. So it's important to not just move it along and say, go bye-bye in a closet, but to understand it and move forward and have the courage and the faith to move forward. That's the key. That is the key. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because we are complete. Listen, I think we went a little while. I had fun doing this, and I really trust that you really gained a lot to know the importance of having your blueprint mapping done. Get your iridology done, so that you know you're always in preventative mode. You're not waiting for anything. You're not waiting for disease to arrive. You are attacking it head on way before chronic disease manifests. And no matter what, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousin, anyone in the family went through, that doesn't have to be your story. Because now you have the knowledge, and you just watched this video to know that you are not your genetics. You can change and reprogram your DNA at any given time. It's based upon your your command. Snap of the fingers and start doing the work. Start taking action. Know what your inherent weaknesses are. And that you know that with iridology. That's why iridology is the only modality that can pinpoint disease in real time and pinpoint the stage of health, how long it took it to develop, and how long it's going to take you approximately to heal. So it's so important to tap into the signs. Tap into, this is your birthright. You were born with the answers already. That's why when they say that line, you have everything you need, you really don't know what that means, because you constantly seek outside of yourself what you already have. That's like having $1 million, but you're still out there looking for more diamonds. And not saying you to accumulate more, but you can have that's like you have the rarest diamond in the world, and you still out there looking for more. Everybody coming and looking for your diamond, but you got the rarest diamond, and you still out there looking for something. That's why I like that movie, The Last Dragon, where he's like, I'm looking for a teacher. And then the teacher said, he kept trying to tell him that he's ready. It's in you, but he's out looking for the master. I'm looking for the master. And at the end, he realized, I am the master. I have that energy within me. I got that power within me. Time to rise this energy, this seat of life, this kundalini, and rise it up so that I can develop the spiritual gifts that I came here with. That's you. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate your attention and your time and spending it on me, because it's a currency that most of us spend frivolously. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. If you're interested in iridology, you know what to do. www.holisticalove.com. All of the information will be in the description of this video. I had a wonderful time sharing with y'all. Thank y'all so much. And I'll see you next week for another video. Peace, love, and light.